Hey folks, hope you're enjoying your learning on Creo platform. Today let's understand what is REST API. How many apps do you have on your phone? Maybe 20, 30, 40? Have you ever thought how these apps communicate with the backend servers? For example, you take Uber app, you open it, it shows some of the cars that are moving around you, right? How does that exactly happen? How about Google Maps? If you closely observe in some of the cities, when you actually try to get directions between two places, Google Maps also shows this option to hail a cab, right? It shows your local car provider, like say Ola or Uber, along with the rates that are kind of going on right now. So if there are any surge pricing, it also includes that, which means that this particular fare it returns back. It's actually not stale data; it is live. So, how do you think Ola or Uber trip fares are shown on Google Maps? I'm sure all of you have are using one or the other forms of social media, right? Twitter, Snapchat, Insta. Now, how many different clients do they have? If I to take Twitter, they have iOS client, Android client, and a web app, of course, and they talk to some sort of Twitter server. This iOS app is written in Swift, right? Android is written in Java or Kotlin, and the web app usually JavaScript. Does it mean that Twitter is going to maintain different backend code for serving each of these clients? Not really, right? Let's try to understand how REST API comes into play, and you'll be able to understand all the questions that we just like discussed. So, what is REST API? To understand that, let's start by understanding what is API. API is just way for one piece of software to talk to another. Let's start with a very simple example. Say you have a function that is prime that accepts an integer and then returns back a boolean. And you have some sort of an implementation for it, and you give me this particular function declaration, that is this particular line alone. You don't tell me how you have implemented, but you only are giving me saying that, hey, you give me an integer and I'll give you a boolean that says whether the number is prime number or not. I use it across all my functions. I'm writing some sort of a cryptographic function where I call is prime a lot of times, but I never have to worry about what code you have written. You could be using a for loop with int I equal to 0, I plus plus, or you could be doing double hops with I plus equal to 2. I don't really care. As long as you give me a contract wherein you say, you give me an integer, I'll make sure that I take care of all the logic and return you whether or not the number is prime. I don't really care about the implementation. Similarly, I can have a bunch of similar function contracts wherein you tell me this is the input you have to give me and this is the output I will give you back. So these sets of contracts is called an API or application programmable interface. Now, APIs that conform to certain architectural style is called a REST API. There are about 6 constraints that if your API conforms to, then you can safely call that as a REST API. Leaving the theoretical definition apart, today, when people talk about REST APIs as a part of their job description, or when you hear somebody saying or asking you if you know to write REST APIs, they are probably talking about REST over HTTP. So we'll simplify the definition of REST API to a large extent for this particular session. And as you progress through, you will be able to pick up much more nuanced understanding of what is REST API. When we actually loaded the Creo homepage, what did we really see? You can see that there is a get request that was made to this particular URL. We got a 200 status code, and then the content that we got back was HTML. When we look at the response from the server, we were able to see all the data from the server as HTML response. Now let's go to the testimonial section on the Creo page and search for one of the testimonials. You can see that whatever was the testimonial, I can actually see it over here, but it is actually in the middle of several different HTML tags, right? I go back here and this HTTP request, that is Creo.do, has returned back HTML data, and then as you can see, the actual testimonial themselves, the text and the photos, etc., are kind of embedded among multiple HTML tags. Now let's say that Creo launches a mobile app and we want to show all the testimonials in one of the tabs. All right, so let's think of it very similar to WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp has chat, status, and then calls. Similarly, Creo has some sort of a programs tab, and then there is a testimonials tab where we want to show all these testimonials. The question is, can we use the same URL endpoint and then kind of get the data back from this endpoint and then show the testimonials this way on the Android app? Is that possible? If you were to think about it, it is definitely possible, but the amount of work that we have to do to parse this whole HTML data, extract this specific testimonials text from here, and then display the way we want is too cumbersome. And it's also not the right way to do, because tomorrow, if your home page changes, right, this section could change, which means that the Android app will break because it was doing parsing based on some assumptions about the organization of this particular HTML tags. To understand what is REST API, it's very important for you to understand what is structured versus unstructured data. Once we understand this, we'll come back to the same example and then you will be able to better understand what is a REST API. In the Creo website, we have some of the addresses of the companies who actually learn on the Creo platform. Let's say for some reason we want to add the address of each of these companies on our homepage. And we add it this way. The UX designer in Creo decides to add the addresses somewhat along these lines. Now, can you tell me what is Flipkart's address? What is Visa's address? Is it Alisa or is it Aquamarine? Which is Flipkart's address? It's kind of very hard to guess, right? It could be either Aquamarine or Alisa. Both are equal possibilities. How do you say which one is Flipkart's address? How about now? Do things become any better? Can you actually make a better guess now? Most likely, Alisa is going to be Flipkart's address. How do you know that? Even now, you cannot be sure. What if the person who designed this has not really done a great job, and for some reason, the person has tried to associate Aquamarine with Flipkart and Alisa with Visa? That could potentially happen, right? So, though you can be reasonably sure that if the person who has designed this has some common sense, they would have put this together and then this together. So Flipkart's address is Alisa, right? But if you were to think about it a bit more deeper, this is possible for you to interpret only because of your worldly knowledge, right? You feel like humans in general tend to put icon and the address together or somewhat close to each other, then most likely they belong together. So this kind of a unstructured HTML response is possible for a human being to interpret. That is because of the worldly knowledge you have, but computers cannot comprehend this, right? A computer cannot say just because this distance has increased, Flipkart's address cannot be Aquamarine, right? How about now? Is it fairly obvious? Over here, it is very precise. The company is Flipkart, the address is Alisa. The company is Visa, the address is Aquamarine. What exactly is this format? This is called JSON. This is one of the structured data formats, the others being Protobuf, Thrift, Avro. There are different structured data formats. The most familiar one probably for you would be XML. If you were to see over here, this is an array in JSON and then each flower base corresponds to one JSON object. So it's a series of JSON objects, each with its own key value pair. Whatever is the key, it has a value over here. This key has this value. Similarly, the other key value pair exists as an object as well. Here, there is no confusion, right? If a computer were to interpret this data, it clearly knows that Flipkart's address is Alisa and there's no room for ambiguity over here. So this is the value of structured data. Now let's quickly look at the Creo page again and then see in one of the APIs we return a structured data. It would be much more clearer to understand what is REST API at that point in time. You can see that there are several requests that are being made over here, and I'm choosing one of them where it is hitting this particular URL. Don't worry too much about this entire URL. It could be anything. It is a server configuration wherein you say, okay, hey, if you were to hit me at this particular endpoint, I'm going to return back this. You are familiar with this, right? It's hitting some endpoint, doing a get, remote address, port number, all these remain same. However, the content type that got returned back is different. Over here, we got JSON instead of HTML data over here in the other request, right? So what does that mean? We have got a very different response over here where we are getting an array of objects, and each one of the object is actually a JSON object where there is a key value pair. Can you actually quickly go through this particular key value pair and then tell me what would a person who completes the ME Spring Boot byte would acquire? Fairly straightforward, right? You could actually look at this key ME skills and then tell Spring Boot, REST API and Jackson are the three skills that the person would acquire if they were to do this byte. Now, is it possible for a computer to tell this as well? In the sense, like if you write a quick program in Python or Java, any language, can you actually look at this key and then find out the value and then print out what skills somebody would pick up out of this byte? Definitely yes, right? A human being as well as a computer can equally say what skill set a person would pick up from here. Similarly, let me go to a different byte. Can a Python program tell how long it's going to take for this particular byte to be completed? Yes, of course, right? We have this ME duration, which says 1 hour, which means that if you have a Python program or a Java program, it can very clearly say that the ME takes about an hour to finish, right? So the difference is that in the former case, we got unstructured HTML data. In the current case, we are getting structured JSON data, which is interpreted by both a human being as well as a computer can also interpret the data. Now, with this, right, if suppose Creo creates a mobile app and it decides to show all the bytes on the mobile app, can the same endpoint be hit? This is a similar question to the testimonial question, right? The answer is yes, because it is structured data. Whether you are actually writing Java code in Android to actually parse this data and then display it, or you are writing Swift code to actually show this on iOS device, or you are writing JavaScript code to parse it on web app and then display, everything is possible because it is structured data. For the sake of simplifying the whole concept of REST API, you can think that whenever a request returns back structured data, you can safely call that as a REST API to start with. Okay, and REST API is also a HTTP request. It's no different from a HTTP request except for the fact that you are getting a structured data back. Okay, this is a slightly simplified version. As you move forward, you might be able to get a slightly better understanding of REST API. All right, that's about it. When you do the REST byte, you would actually be playing around with a simple weather API. Then you will dissect this weather API and understand that it is no different from a regular HTTP request response. And a API, as we started off with is to help other programs to call it, right? So you're going to use Python and Java code to actually call this weather API. And finally, you'll be able to post on LinkedIn right from your terminal, right? So as we said, there is a command called curl, which is helpful for you to mimic whatever a browser is doing, which means you can post on LinkedIn, you can tweet, or you can post YouTube comments right from your terminal. It's going to be a lot of fun. So get started with the Rust Byte right away. All right, thank you.